All right, go ahead and set up your journal for today. What we're going to be discussing is making scale models. Our objective is to be able to define a scale model or a scale factor and make scale models of geometric features. So go ahead and copy this on the left-hand side of your journal, and then we can get started. So the question is, what is scaling? So this is a perfect example right here of good scaling and bad scaling. So imagine that this is the original copy, right? This is the original image right here. Good scaling is I'm going to make the picture bigger and I'm going to make it proportional. So if this is 5 by 2, I'm going to make it grow by the same amount so that it stays the same, right? This still looks like a human in the center, right? This still looks like Kanye West. However, bad scaling is when I take the image that I see here, right? We see this image here of Kanye West, and then I just don't make it look the same anymore. You notice how now I made it much longer and skinnier, so he looks long and he just doesn't look like a human being anymore. He doesn't look like the Kanye West here. This is bad scaling, meaning I made the picture bigger, but it wasn't proportional. So what we're going to do today is explore scaling using a couple of sample models. All right, let's go ahead and look at this sample here. So let's say that you have a square and that is your bedroom, right? And now we're designing a house and we want to make another room, and we want it to be, let's say we want to make the living room and we want it to be 3 times as larger, right? So I'm not just going to make an image and assume that it is 3 times as larger, right? When I hear 3 times, I think of multiplication. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to take my numbers that are here on the side and I'm going to multiply it times 3. So the first one I'm going to multiply is 13 times 3. And that gives me 39. So that means that this side right here is going to be 39 feet. Because all I did was take the length here and multiply it times 3. I'm going to have to do the same thing for the number right here on the top. So that number is 10.5. So I'm going to have to take 10.5 and I'm going to multiply it times 3. So when I do that, I'm going to get 3150. And that means that the width up here is going to be 31.5 feet. And the way I did that is by looking at the scale factor. That's what this number is, how big or how small it's growing, 3 times, and I multiply it times the 2 numbers that I have. Let's go ahead and look at this baby mango tree. So in order for me to harvest this mango tree, I need it for it to be 4.5 times larger than the baby. So the height right now is 5 feet. And if I need it to be 4.5 times larger, I'm going to multiply it times 4.5. So 5 times 4.5 will give me 2250. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the 3.2 right here on the top, right? So this one's going to be 2250. I got to do 3.2 times 4.5. And I use a calculator to do this. So 3.2 times 4.5. And I get 1440. So the height is going to have to be the width, I'm sorry, is 1440. So once that tree is 22 by 50 and 14 by 0.40, then I'll be able to harvest it. Now, the reason this is important is because when this tree grows, it doesn't mysteriously get wider or skinnier as it wants. It grows proportionally. So that's why we have to multiply whatever we multiply to the first dimension, we have to do the second one as well. It has to stay the same. In this case, our scale factor is 4.5. Now, this is kind of a little small example, but imagine if I were doing Tweety Bird, right? I wanted to scale Tweety Bird's head so it's 2 times as large. The way I would do that is measure this length here. Now, let's say that length ended up being 20, right? And this width right here going across ends up being 25. The way I would measure it is, and I want to do it 2 times as large is I would multiply both numbers by 2. So let's go ahead and do that. If I know that it is 20 inches tall and I need to make it 2 times as large, I'm going to do 20 inches times 2, and that'll give me 40. If the width is 25, I'm going to do 25 inches times 2, and that will get me 50. So then if I wanted to draw it, I'm going to make something that needs to be, I start from the bottom, I would need to go up 40. So let's say I go up 40, and then my width is 50. This is 40. And this is 50. That'll help me to begin to figure out how to draw Tweety Bird. Now, I would need to do the same thing for her eyes, right? Because her eyes maybe are 10 feet high or 10 inches high. So when you have 10 and you multiply by 2, that'll give you 20. So that means her eyes would only need to go up 20 spaces, and etc. So this is how artists take a little image like this and are able to make it so much more bigger. They use a scaling method. So they know if her eye here is 10 inches long and I want to make it 2 times as big, I need to make it 20 inches here, okay? To keep everything proportional. Okay, go ahead and go into your eye module to see the dream house project that you will be working on today in class. If you have any questions, be sure to ask one of your iPrep facilitators.